Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. McGovern, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congresswoman Chu mentioned a number of amendments that were offered in committee. And I've heard you over the years talk about your passion for rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse when it comes to how American taxpayer dollars are spent on health care programs. So I'm just trying to understand a couple of things here. So during your committee's markup on this bill, every Republican voted against an amendment offered by Congresswoman Del Bene aimed at combating fraud, abuse, and deceptive practices for women who are pregnant and seeking medical help. And the amendment, which has been resubmitted to the Rules Committee for consideration, would say that a crisis pregnancy center can no longer receive federal TANF funds if, quote, a state medical board has found that a pregnancy center has provided misleading or deceptive medical information, including information about a service offered by the pregnancy center, or put at risk the health of a woman, end quote. I mean, that's the plain text of the amendment. Why did every Republican in the Ways and Means Committee vote against that amendment, including you? I mean, it just seems pretty basic.
I would say that it was singling out crisis pregnancy centers or pregnancy centers in general, unfairly so,
Well, you guys,
with ambiguous language.
You guys single out organizations and, you know, in all kinds of areas. I mean, I'm just trying to say, what is objectionable about this language? And if a state medical board has found that a pregnancy center has provided misleading or deceptive medical information or put at risk the health of a woman, that it can't receive TANF funds. Do we want TANF funds going to centers that provide misleading information?
The language being what it has been is overly broad and vague in its nature, and I think I'm not convinced that the language actually strengthens the intent behind the bill. The intent was to undermine the bill.
Well, let me just share an experience of a woman in my district. I mentioned this in my opening remarks with one of these unregulated and misleading pregnancy centers. This is in Worcester, Massachusetts. I mean, they told her that she had a viable pregnancy, but when she continued to feel sharp pains, she went to a real doctor and was diagnosed with an ectopic pregnancy that threatened her life and resulted in her having to get an emergency surgery. She had all kinds of complications after that. If she had gotten actual medical care earlier, she could have gotten the treatment that she needed before it was too late. And again, let me just ask again, I mean, don't you think fake medical practices that are found to be misdiagnosing and threatening the health of pregnant women should not receive federal funds? I mean, this amendment is just about the pregnancy centers that are deceiving women or, you know, have put women's health at risk. I mean, don't you think that centers that have demonstrated that they're providing bad information or threatening the life of a woman should not be receiving TANF funds?
Well, that's actually not the point that is being debated necessarily, because it was the Biden administration that categorically denied pregnancy centers from using TANF dollars, regardless.
But this amendment basically says, okay, TANF can fund these, provide funding, but here's the exception.
Well, there are already remedies for
So this woman sues them, or is that the exception? I mean, if you have a center,
well, every state's probably going to be a little bit different,
right.
but the fact of the matter is there are remedies for that.
If the state medical examiner determines that, you know, this one particular center is providing deceptive information and information that, quite frankly, is endangering the life of women.
Every center must abide by the law.
Yeah, I don't understand, you know, why that was such a heavy lift, other than the fact that, again, that this is more of a kind of a messaging bill rather than actually trying to get this right. But I need to get to another topic here because we don't always have this opportunity. You know, you're also the chairman of the Ways and Means Subcommittee on Trade, and just this past week, President Trump announced on True Social that he would be putting in place 10% tariffs on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland, and threatening future tariff increases with the explicit goal of coercing our NATO allies into letting the U.S. annex Greenland, which, by the way, does not want to be part of the United States. And one of the reasons that President Trump is pushing this takeover of Greenland is because he's upset he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, according to text that he sent to Norway's prime minister over the weekend. I mean, this is unbelievable. But in response, Republican Senator Murkowski said that these tariffs are, quote, unnecessary, punitive, and a profound mistake. Republican Senator Tillis said that these tariffs are, quote, bad for America, bad for American businesses, and bad for American allies. And it's great for Putin, Xi, and other adversaries who want to see NATO divided, end quote. Republican Congressman Don Bacon said, I quote, Congress must reclaim tariff authorities, end quote. Congressman Smith, do you support President Trump's actions to threaten and extort our NATO allies with tariffs? And do you think this is how an American president should treat our allies?
I wasn't expecting to have this discussion, but I'll, very briefly, so that we can cover the materials of the bill.
You're still the chairman of the Ways and Means Subcommittee on Trade, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And I've been on the record for saying I'm not a fan of tariffs. I understand that the president is looking to tariffs as tools, as he has discussed, as he campaigned on, as he governed during his first term. A lot of opposition to the tariffs during his first term, and then when he did not return to the White House, very little, actually nothing was done to reverse those tariffs. So the president, I think, has made some progress on getting some other countries to the table. The UK would be an example, others as well. But I think moving forward, I hope we can look for ways to, in a bipartisan fashion, look for ways to level the playing field on international trade.
Would you support a measure to block those tariffs if it came up for an up or down vote in the House?
I would want to look at any language before I make any kind of a commitment. Look at the details.
So
overall,
you don't think we should be able to vote up or down on these?
I would prefer to vote on tariffs, certainly.
And the reason why I ask is because the Senate has sent us, on a bipartisan basis, several joint resolutions to terminate some of Trump's tariffs. But in the House, the Republican majority has continued to turn off fast-track procedures 4 separate times that will allow up or down votes on these tariffs. And the last time this happened, back in September, several Republicans were so incensed and frustrated by the process that they held out and they struck a deal for a working group within the Republican conference to address the tariff issue. And one Republican member told news outlets that the tariff policy working group would be led by none other than you. But since these press releases, that's a while ago now, and news reports came out, I haven't heard anything about the working group. I mean, can you please update this committee on what your tariff working group has been up to? Specifically, like, who's on the working group?
Well, there have been a number of members interested in talking about trade policy moving forward and how we can effectively level the playing field, and including ways that we can address things in a longer-term fashion than one presidential administration at a time.
But it's been 4 months. I mean, do we have a formal list of people who are part of that group?
I don't have that, and I don't think it's relevant.
How many times have you met as a working group?
I don't keep track of the number of times that I have discussions with colleagues, but I think we've been having a productive conversation about how we level the playing field as it relates to international trade.
Formally met at all? I mean, it's been 4 months since the promise was made. I mean, is there a group of people on the working group, and I can't get an answer to that?
We've had trade discussions on the committee as well.
With the working group?
No, that's an ad hoc effort to have discussions among members, looking at how we can level the playing field on trade.
But again, I'm going back, to the promise that was made to Republican members that a working group would be established, that members would be part of that working group, and there would be meetings, and there would be, and I mean, there's been, I'm missing it. Have you published, or you plan to publish any reports on the findings? I mean, it seems like nothing happened. There was a promise made to get people to support a rule, and then, like, here we are 4 months later, and we don't have any formal membership to this working group. There's no meetings, and all you can say is that I've talked to members about trade informally, or we've brought up the issue of trade in Ways and Means. That seems a far cry from what was promised. That's all I'm trying to say.
That's your characterization. I would disagree with that, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I just want to know, is there a working group? Who are the members, and how many times have you met? That's it. I mean, those aren't trick questions. And if the answer is there's no members, and we haven't met, okay, that, I mean, I remember you did in 2022, when a Democrat was in the White House, you said, and I quote, "A successful trade agenda will require close cooperation with Congress every step of the way. This coordination is not optional." That's you. I mean, do you still believe that? I assume you do, right?
I do.
And can you credibly sit here and tell me that the Trump administration is coordinating with Congress on these tariffs and on this trade policy?
As I mentioned before, the president is using the tariffs as a tool, and I think
Is he coordinating with you guys?
he's been, I don't know if I'd say coordinated, but certainly made us aware of what is happening, and there's a lot taking place, and I think that's in stark contrast to the previous administration.
Yeah, I mean, did you help write Trump's tweet threatening our allies last night? I mean, is that the kind of, I mean, so I'm just, and I'll just close with this, Madam Chair. I mean, I'm just wanting to, when are some of you guys who know better going to stand up against these crazy tariff policies that are raising costs at home and destroying our alliances? I mean, things are going up. People, the American people are paying for this. I hear when I do town halls and I meet with constituency groups, I know that there are many of you that know better on this. And unless Republicans are willing to actually stand up and take a stand against these tariffs and push back, this is going to continue. And you see what he's threatening right now. I mean, and we can't afford this. We can't afford this. And I thank the chair lady for her indulgence, and I yield back.